we had started like planning this out and like put in our notice at our other jobs in like April of 2020, and then we didn't take over the Dock Street West location until June of 22. So we had like 2 years, and at that time, like there wasn't many things open. Started working at Kismet Bagels.
Yeah,
so like we went from brewing to
sitcom-y,
bagels, Like,
we're brewers and the world is ending, and now we're gonna make bagels.
I like wrote a resume. I'm like, I know nothing about making bagels, but like I know about fermentation and I like bagels.
Welcome back to the Brew That podcast, where something's always brewing. I'm your host, Richie Tevlin. Today's guests are Kyle Wolak and Brendon Boudwin, founders of the area's hottest new brewery, Carbon Copy, located in West Philadelphia at the former home to Dock Street West, where they serve pizzas, snacks, alongside their in-house beer and wine. So welcome. Thank you for coming
Thanks
on
for
here.
having us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's first episode, so wanted to have somebody, big on here.
We're honored you thought of us.
Yes, get things started. So I figured kind of start this off with like kind of how I found you guys. A little compliment, but so my
We
friend,
love that. So.
yes, of
Sorry.
course. So you guys used to work at Tired Hands, right?
Yep.
So my friend Kevin used to work at Tired Hands.
Yeah.
And he told me, a long time ago that you guys were kind of doing this. I didn't know the name of your brewery or anything, but he just told me that like you guys were looking for a spot. And then I saw Michael Klein's article in the Inquirer about, everything that you guys were doing. And, just instantly in the article it said that you guys worked at Modern Times, Three Floyds, Hill Farmstead, War Pigs, and Tired Hands. And like, I knew you guys were from Tired Hands, so I knew it was going to be kind of a big thing. And then I saw the resume, I was like, oh shit, like these guys definitely know what they're talking about. So I knew that it was kind of going to be successful. Like you guys kind of knew exactly what you're doing. And then from there, I saw your Instagram, and I was like, they definitely know what they're doing. You guys was like perfectly curated opening, kind of exactly what you guys needed to do, like publicity-wise, getting the social media stuff right, and then your can art from the start was just like better than everybody else's. So it was like a hot start.
Appreciate it.
Like I thought you guys were going to do good, and it was like exactly kind of how I think everyone was expecting you guys to open, like start off as one of the top guys in the city.
Well, we had a lot of time too, like we had been working together at Tired Hands for a few years, and then Brendon kind of approached me and was like, hey, I kind of want to like do a thing.
Yeah,
I'm like,
so it was you first, or you guys both had the idea?
It was Brendon. Brendon approached me first. And like I hadn't really been thinking about it too much, but like when I heard like he wanted to do something, I was like, with you for sure. Like definitely. I feel like we work really well together. He's like super talented, so I was like, yeah, if I was gonna start a brewery with anybody, it was gonna be.
What did you guys do at Tired Hands?
I was the head brewer at the fermentery. I was like in charge of like hoppy beer production basically, and then
I ran the dispensary, which is like the oak fermentation facility.
Nice.
At Modern Times, I had done some lab work, so I built out a lab at Tired Hands. So got both like that program started, and then were building out the dispensary when I moved to take the job. So kind of grew that into what it was, and kind of expanded a little bit into cider and wine, and then they lumped in coffee with that as well. So worked with the coffee roaster.
How about one more thing?
Yeah. Is there plans for that?
On
for coffee?
For us?
Yes.
No.
Not right now?
Yeah. Yeah, we
do love coffee, but we focus on what
we wear a lot of hats already, and we figured with starting a brewery and managing that and running that,
a brewery, a tap room, a winery.
Yeah.
You guys got so many things going on right now.
Yeah, I got to go do punch downs on the wine later. So
nice. Where is that winery? It's in Kensington?
Yeah.
Nice. So I guess you guys are both from production backgrounds.
Yeah. Yeah, worked front of house first, and then moved into production after that.
So was that a big transition, kind of when you guys opened up, kind of relearning that process, or you kind of knew how it was all going to operate, kind of the steps to service and everything, and setting up the tap room?
Yeah. Again, we had like we had started like planning this out and like put in our notice at our other jobs in like April of 2020, and then we didn't go into the space. We didn't take over the Dock Street West location until June of 22. So we had like 2 years, and at that time, like there wasn't many things open. So at first we thought we were going to get like front of house jobs, and that didn't work out right away. So we actually started working at a bagel shop. We started working at Kismet Bagels.
Nice.
Yeah,
so
it was
like
real
we went from brewing
sitcom-y,
to bagels.
you know.
Like,
We're brewers, and the world is ending, and now we're gonna make bagels.
I like wrote a resume. I'm like, I know nothing about making bagels, but like I know about fermentation, and I like bagels.
Yes.
So like,
I'm a
and
good guy. Please hire me.
they were growing too, and like so we started doing that. But then once things started opening back up, we like got jobs at front house and places. So
Nice.
we kind of like dusted the cobwebs off of our
Yeah, the-
service background.
Yeah, the managing aspect is a lot different, and it's like anything. You have like an idea of I want this to be this, and I want us to do, service this way, and most of that stuff gets through. But you got to be malleable and edit some of that stuff.
Yeah, was your vision when you first kind of ideated this, like how much is it different now from when it was? Was it a whole different plan, or was kind of exactly kind of what you guys are doing right now?
From a beer perspective, I would say we're pretty right on. We actually are making more, I guess, lager than we originally planned, because we wanted, to build up a system that, we could do step mashing and a little bit of decoction on before we're like, if we're going to do it, we really want to do it.
Definitely.
And fortunately, that worked out with the brew house that's was at Dock Street.
Yeah.
That's now at Carbon Copy.
Yeah, but I guess the one thing that differs from like our original plan was like at first when we were like looking at spaces, we were kind of going for the more classic style of like a brewery in a warehouse, and you just kind of like open up and you put some tables out, and and like we didn't really find like the perfect space. And then when we finally found out that Dock Street was leaving and there was the opportunity there, like it all just kind of fell together. Like at first we weren't really considering having like a full service restaurant aspect to it.
Yeah.
But we also kind of lucked out because our third chef partner, we had worked with him in the past, and he was working at pizza spots at the time. So when we realized we were gonna have like this pizza element, like we reached out to him, and it all worked out timing wise that like he.
And Dock Street had a pizza oven already built there, right?
Yep.
They did have a pizza oven. We've since replaced that one. They had like a wood fired pizza oven, which we were rocking with for the first couple months, but it's pretty small, and so we focus heavily on pizzas. We have like a smaller streamlined menu because we want to spend more time doing like the beer and stuff, but we want to have those options for food as well. So we ended up switching it up and getting an electric deck oven, so we're able to like push out more pizzas at a time, and that allowed us to do like traditional like takeout pizza, because at first the oven could only fit 4 at a time, so on Fridays and Saturday nights
it was
like
rough.
backed up, and then
keep it in the house.
Yeah, and it's cooking right next to fire, so if somebody doesn't turn it or it gets stuck, it's burnt.
And if you ever had to tell somebody like they can't order a pizza for takeout, they're like, "What do you mean I can't order takeout from this pizza restaurant?"
Yeah, like you're a pizza place. Like, well, we're a brewery that has pizza. It's a little bit different.
That was what we were saying all the time.
Yeah.
We're a brewery that just happens to have pizza. We're not a pizzeria.
Yeah.
But we most certainly are now.
Yeah. Your pizzas are very good. Your wings are unbelievable.
We put them up against anybody's wings. I mean, our pizza as well, but we're always like, I know I'm biased, but these wings are really good.
The wings are a little bit of a sleeper, like a lot of people do wings, but like, I mean, people always tell us like, oh, the food is really great. And we're like, yeah, because we don't like our partner, Bill, he's like the one who like oversees all that. It's like, that's why it's so good, because he's a professional.
We get to eat and have opinions, and that's it.
Sure.
That's a great job.
You can tell it's like something unique he's doing, because we got like some Indian pizza.
Yeah, the samosa.
That was awesome, and then the wings like had some like Indian twang to it a little bit. It was like
might have gotten the salt and pepper ones.
Yeah. That, or there was the awaze, which is like an Ethiopian
we had
sauce.
A couple of them, but it was like definitely something a little bit different to it. But they were awesome.
Yeah, kind of like riffs on the classics.
Riff on a classic. But yeah, having the food has been great, and I think if the pandemic hadn't happened, doing something like what our initial thought was, like, it's intimidating to think about building out like a kitchen, and you're like, we're already trying to take on so much debt to build something out, like
Definitely.
having an entire other aspect that like we both worked in kitchens, but like none of us are qualified. We're not
expert beer makers, not expert chefs.
I've washed a lot of dishes and done line cooking in high school. You're like, that's we're like, we'll stick to what we know.
Yeah.
But through the pandemic, I feel like it was, when we kind of came on like the idea of like getting Dock Street, it almost seemed like a no-brainer because it seems like people are looking more for like an experiential like space and a place where they can go and like have a few beers and be like, okay, well I can have like a pizza and that'll help,
So with that,
stave that off.
You guys moved into the Dock Street. You guys are serving pizza like they did. Are a lot of your customers like old Dock Street customers? Was there any like kind of follow through on that? Like
there's definitely like repeat customers. I feel like we're at 50th and Baltimore in West Philly, and that's definitely like a very like community focused like corner. There's like a bike shop, a coffee shop, and then like we have the brew pub there, and like there's a lot of people that like live in the area, and like they went to Dock Street was there for like 17 years. So like if you lived in the neighborhood, you knew you could get pizza and beer from there.
Yeah.
And it's been like a lot of people have been pretty receptive to us like offering that, but having it be slightly different than because we're not doing the same pizzas like.
Yeah, some people had some expectations of like, well, Dock Street had this. We're like, well, we're not Dock Street.
Yeah, you're not Dock Street. You're your own thing.
Yeah, and that took a little bit of time for some people, but there's a few, like, we have some people that come in every other day and like we're like the corner spot or their neighborhood bar. So
yes, I mean, what other places are there in West Philly? Brewery wise, I mean, I know Tired Hands is a little bit further out. It's not really West Philly, but you guys are kind of the only people that are out that way.
Yeah, right now, technically we're the only
brewery west of the Schuylkill in Philadelphia proper. But Two Locals is building out right now.
Oh yeah,
they're pretty far along.
We saw them last week, and they said they're hoping to open by the end of the year.
Yeah, Rich said tanks are coming in next week, I think.
Yeah. I guess the dates he said are next week. Time flies.
Time does fly.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going through a lot of kind of what you guys went through a year and a half ago, where it's just like this looming thing over top of you, like trying to rush to get this thing open.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, it took us a little bit longer than we thought. We took over in June, and we optimistically / didn't know any better. We're like, oh, we could get open in like 3 months, and it took us 6 months, which like in the grand scheme of things of building something is like not long at all.
Yeah, but if we said 6 months, we're like, oh, well, we got 6 months.
Yeah,
we're like, yeah.
Yeah, so you
got to light a fire under your ass a little bit.
Yeah. So what are you guys fully built out? Like, are you guys canning there and everything? Like, I know when I first visited you guys were still like kind of setting up a little bit. You guys were still making beer there, but you guys still had stuff to like kind of build out there.
We are pretty much set up. I mean, it's always evolving, like we bought a lot of equipment from Dock Street, and like we're like upgrading it as we can, and we did buy a canning line from the start, so we have like a small 3-head filler.
Nice.
And I think we got that up and running in January.
Yeah, we didn't have it. Yeah. It was a overwhelming amount of stuff to do and deal with several different government, branches, and just
hard enough.
Yeah, just didn't have the time to get them out to commission the whole thing, but
they have to commission the canning line.
Yeah, they come out and they it's like.
Well, I mean, no, like.
Oh no, like the company that we bought it from.
We bought the canning line.
Gotcha. I got you. All right.
We bought it new, and they're like, we'll come out and like set it up and like walk you through how to use it all. So.
Yeah.
But we couldn't get that scheduled. Like we ended up opening before we could get that scheduled for them to come out. They need like more time than like, hey, can you come out tomorrow?
Yeah.
Like, based in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Nice. So what about the winery? Like, is that just a full-on production facility over there?
Yeah. It's no plans to make the winery like a public space.
Okay.
Takes a lot of space, and it's not the
I
not
don't
the
know
cleanest.
Much about winery. Is it almost like open fermentation, like top fermenting?
Yeah, everything we do is just kind of like a native yeast or spontaneous fermentation. Cool. We crush the grapes, or we destem them, or we press them directly, and the yeast that's on there or on the equipment in the air, that's what does all the fermentation.
That's so popular right now with the natural wine stuff.
Yeah,
like Joe Badia and like that whole crew that's like kind of leading the charge of restaurants in Philadelphia. Like they're all about it, and it's like you guys are now making your own natural wine in that neighborhood. I mean, I didn't drink a ton of wine. I feel like you're probably in the same boat. Didn't drink a ton of wine until like I kind of came upon natural wine, and you're like, oh, like this kind of philosophy, is something that I'm like much more interested in. There's, I don't have any fermented grape juice with sulfites in it.
Yeah, and a lot of people, that have grown up in, have more, traditional wine backgrounds, like they're like, oh, like this can't taste like that because I was taught that it can't.
Yeah.
Where, we're drinking funky wild beer, spontaneous beer, and those.
Yeah.
A lot of those flavors and aromas aren't as jarring
Definitely,
to us.
When craft beer got started, like you're trying to teach people what craft beer is. Like,
yeah.
It's like wine. You're telling wine people what natural wine is.
Yeah. It was more of a, does this taste good? Do I enjoy this? Than like, is this technically flawed, or does this fit this specific rubric?
It shouldn't matter though. Like even beer styles, like the style guidelines are just there as like it's almost telling the consumer what to expect, not like this is what it should taste like. And I feel like natural wine is kind of the same thing. Like if it doesn't fit into one style, it doesn't matter. As long as it tastes good and it's balanced, that's what's important.
Yeah.
Nice. So I guess how many beers do you guys have right now? We have 3 right here. Fest, Koi, and Bin. Are these your top 3?
I would say, Bindle and Koi, we have all the time. Fest is obviously just a seasonal one. But yeah, I would say the only one that we don't have of our, included in our top 3 would be our IPA. Yeah. Both Koi and our IPA, which is called Gully. Yeah. They're both kind of like more of the modern, hazier style. But we also do a lot of West Coast style IPAs as well. It's just a style we really like too.
Is that, so you guys said you guys are doing more lagers now. Is it mostly IPAs and lagers? So you guys have a lot of English pub ales and stuff.
Yeah, we definitely try to our idea is to try to be more of a 90s or early 2000s style brew pub, to have a lot of different styles and strengths to beer. So if you like a certain style, you can enjoy it. I don't like having it be where there's 10 IPAs on, or
definitely,
even if there's if there's 10 lagers, I love lagers, but I also love hoppy beer. I love Belgian beer, just to have a variety. So there's a little bit of something for everyone,
Yeah, a little something for everyone. You get to show off no, we actually do know how to make all these different beers. It's not like I just only know how to make hazy IPAs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I love pepperoni pizza, but I want to eat a samosa pizza, sometimes,
Yeah.
So but it's been nice doing a variety of stuff and, kind of getting behind that, and other people, I think, pick up on that. And, we've been selling a lot of dark mild and a ton of pills and some other stuff that we were like, all right, let's try this out. And we'll, if we're excited and other people that are working there excited about it, I think that translates a lot into the customer base.
Yeah, I think kind of the same way that lagers are getting so popular now, the English style milds and pub beers, it's just lower ABV, just super drinkable. It's just very easy for people to kind of get, especially on an on-premise sales kind of thing where you're in drinking at a bar, eating pizza. I would much rather drink a lower ABV, either English mild or lager as opposed to some 9% triple IPA.
Yeah, I like to drink beers.
Yeah, we want to have multiple beers. I like to have a
session and have several beers, and we've also noticed that too. When we brew a double IPA and it doesn't do as well on site, but cans to go. I think people are just taking them home and they're I want to have this strong beer at home. Yeah. But when I'm out, I want to have a couple of lower ABV things.
Yeah, listen to your brewers. What are we drinking? I think every brewer drinks low ABV beers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
We've been hitting the West Coast IPA though too.
It's,
that's lower, 6.4.
For sure.
But we try to stay 5.5 and under. That's kind of our favorite stuff to brew.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys gotta have one pocket that it kind of works, and kind of exploring different different hops or different kind of aspects of just that one style.
Yeah. We also have a brew house from the 90s, so it's not really built to brew huge batches of beer. It's
it's for 10
fire
No, it's steam, but it's an old pub system.
Yeah. It looks like it's got the copper sides.
Yeah, it's got the copper clad and everything.
Yeah, it's got a mash kettle and then a lauter tun stacked on top of a whirlpool.
Nice.
So usually where you have the hot, your hot liquor tank down here, it's an interesting setup, but it's cool. Every beer goes into the, we mash into the kettle and transfer it over and run off from there.
How does the whirlpool work? If it's going underneath, are you adding hops in the whirlpool, or you just add it in at flame out?
We had the hops in there. Down? You just have to when you start knocking out, you have to set a timer like, don't open the door for at least 10 minutes. Otherwise,
Yeah.
hot wort might come at you.
Yeah.
So.
And occasionally it still does, and you just
You're like, oh,
shit.
got a really good deal.
Yeah, that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
Is it just you guys brewing right now?
We have one other guy who's like working part-time in the
Okay.
brewery, but we do most of the like wort production, but his name is Al. He has his own like startup beer brand called Concrete Blues.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, he's like
we did
focuses on like pub ales and like
Nice.
British styles, cask beer, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, he's got his own cask engine at his house.
Yeah, it's like
What?
the most
In the
serious
garage,
setup.
yeah, it's-
Serious homebrew setup.
Yeah.
It's like your own engine.
I have a kegerator in my house that I never use. I couldn't imagine having
Yeah.
a cask engine.
Yeah, like filling a pen and be like, all right, let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did a collab with him for the Barrel and Flow Fest,
Nice.
which worked out really great. It was kind of like a perfect, like a no-brainer. And then, he's looking to start his brand.
I mean, that's
Focusing
good.
mostly
Yeah,
on
like,
public
I mean, he's
pub
starting
ales.
something, but he finds somebody that's hungry and like they want to learn. So like,
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
probably got some time before he's ready anyway. So
Yeah.
get somebody that's ambitious in there.
Mm-hmm.
So collaborations, you guys are doing. I feel like you guys do a lot of collaborations.
Yeah.
Is it, maybe it's just from an outside perspective.
No, I feel like
it's more than we were expecting. But
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just kind of like they happen organically. Like we've worked at a lot of spots and like met a lot of people over the years,
Yeah.
and people are like, oh, I'm coming through Philly, and we're working all the time, so the easiest way to hang out with them and also still work is to like brew a beer together. So it's like,
Yeah.
come on by, we'll brew a beer. And
yeah. And now that it's our decision, we're like, we can brew with whoever we want. And,
Yeah.
and we like to. I mean, I'm sure you've been in a few times, so I'm sure you've seen like a lot of the same beers on. We like to rebrew a lot of the same beers and really dial those in, and then like
Yeah,
the
you have,
collabs.
like, flagships and then like
The collabs have been
Yeah.
like a great extension of like, we want to brew this style of beer, like, like our friend will brew like a lot of double IPA, and we'll talk about how we do ours and they do theirs, and we kind of mash
blend different
those
styles of how you
processes
guys do
together.
things.
Yeah.
Nice. So you guys just did a collaboration with Indie Hops. We talked about this before.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use a lot of Strata in our
Strata's
our
great.
number one
Yeah.
IPA Gully.
Nice. Do you guys have hops that you guys use more often than others?
I mean, we use Strata, Idaho 7, I mean, Nelson Sauvin, Motueka, like
Yeah.
Citra, Mosaic too, like all the popular ones. It's not like,
Yeah.
but we try to use some that, I mean, we're really into, Brendon's really into Crystal. That's his
It's a
secret
sleeper.
hop. Yeah.
Crystal's a sleeper.
Really?
So-
Yeah.
And
That's
I mean,
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're also really into Chinook, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that Chinook doesn't get that much
Chinook,
love
I
anymore.
think like 10 years ago was it was a cool hop, and then it became a less cool hop, but now it's like it didn't go white. It was still very good, just people weren't brewing with it.
Yeah.
And Simcoe's kind of making the same comeback.
Well,
It's
Yeah.
so
Oh,
much
for
more, like,
sure.
people are,
Simcoe's
like,
I mean, Simcoe's one of the greatest
Yeah,
hops
now
of
they're,
all
like,
time.
It's almost like 5 years ago. People were brewing with so much Citra and Galaxy and Mosaic.
Yeah.
It's like all the hop suppliers were like, what about it? Like these hops are still good. So now you can kind of get these other ones that like.
Yeah, they just plant them everywhere, and then
Definitely.
they're kind of a shell of what they used to be
Yeah.
in some regard, and they're like pulling Citra out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy in that.
Replacing it with Chinook.
Yeah.
I heard Chinook in Michigan tastes like Mosaic.
Have
Have you guys ever done anything with that?
We haven't gotten Mosaic from it. We initially were using.
Yeah, we were
Chinook.
using Michigan Chinook because
It's like real
we were getting,
pineapple.
Like a pineapple flavor.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
Like more
But yeah,
fruit than,
more
like,
fruit
traditional.
Yeah,
forward than
definitely.
like normal Chinook. It was
Yeah.
definitely like just the way that it's grown out there.
Yeah, we use the indie hop Chinook right now, and in Oregon it definitely has a little bit more of that fruit forward instead of like super
Definitely.
piney spicy.
I don't know if it's like my dumb brain, but like when I think of like cold weather, I don't know if Michigan's cold. I've never been to Michigan.
It's pretty
but, like,
cold. I'm from
it's
Indiana,
cold.
so it's cold.
I
It
think
gets
about,
hot in
like,
the summer though too.
Cold weather places as having like more bitter resinous hops. It's a dumb idea. But like I feel like hotter places should have fruitier hops. I know that's not real, but it feels weird that like the fruitier Chinook is coming from Michigan and not
Yeah.
some like drier, warmer climate. I know that's not.
No,
how
I get where you're
plants
coming
work,
from. I mean, also
but-
like you think about New Zealand hops, and those are like some of the more fruit forward hops,
sure.
you know, with the
Yeah.
hotter climate. But
Yeah, there's something going on in New Zealand. Like they talk about like having higher thiols, and they're like have no idea why that's the case. But like I think the their Sauv Blanc is the same way. It has a higher amount, and I don't know if it's the sun, if it's the...
New Zealand's just an odd place. I think everything's crazy there.
Yeah, it's all upside down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's where Lord of the Rings is, so
Yeah.
who knows what's going on down there.
Middle Earth. Located in Malvern, Pennsylvania at 53-Ton Road, Locust Lane Craft Brewery keeps it simple yet flavorful, crafting beers that are traditional and crave-worthy. Bring your friends and family to enjoy their outdoor deck, Sunday brunch, and slow roasted meats from Foster Ave Carberry. You can find them on Instagram at Locust Lane CB. Once again, that's at Locust Lane CB. And if you're not in Chester County, don't worry. They ship their beers statewide, so head to locustlanecraftbrewery.com for more info. So, I guess I mentioned earlier, like, I think that you guys have, like, when I saw your social media, it was like you guys clearly had something different than everybody else. Like, your merchandise is cool, your can art's cool, it's like you guys have great style. Do you guys have kind of like an art director, or is that, like, coming straight from you guys?
We have, like, a designer that we work with, and he, like, kind of, like, put together
your ideas,
our brand, and, like, we worked with him, like, from the beginning, and, like, he helped us set up the brand from the start, and then also, like, worked on, like, label development. We still work with him, but he's not like our in-house. We couldn't afford to have him like in-house, but
that would be amazing. But
his name is John Schubert. He has the Schubert Studio. He's out of Dallas, Texas.
Nice.
But yeah, it was actually a super fun process. Like, we started that. I mean, we probably started working with him like 3 years ago, and just kind of discussing like what we like about like branding in general, and what we like about beer branding, and what we don't like, and here's 100 images, and
he can like kind of like interpret what like like it's almost like you guys know what you want, but you guys can't like explain it. It kind of takes exactly what you want and like is able to kind of interpret that and put it in a visual.
Send pages of stuff and be like, well, like this, like I remember like some of the font were like, oh, this A like doesn't really connect, but that's like a cool thing, and he took that and just like was able to see what we wanted, and like from all that stuff just narrow it down, and just he crushed it. Yeah,
that's it must be wild, like as like a brewery, like I'm thinking about like making beer, but you guys are like thinking about making beer and thinking about like what the A's look like in like certain letters and stuff. Like
it's crazy how little like making beer is a part of like having a brewery.
For sure, but you're still like doing full-time brewing on top of that. It's like there's just so much to think about, so much to do. But I mean, it all works. Like everything that you guys are doing, like it seems like the brand itself is like so kind of correlated and like thoughtfully put together. It makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, we wanted something that was a little more like timeless. Like it looks kind of like it has like a classic feel, but it doesn't. That sometimes you'll get a can, you're like, oh, I remember when everyone was doing that in 2015, and this brewery 8 years later is like still doing that, and it like looks like of a time.
Like you guys didn't go on and just like copyright infringement and just like
we're not a big fan of that.
Very much its own thing. So like carbon copy, did that have anything to do with like trying to be like what is the name?
Yeah, it's tongue in cheek. There's a lot of breweries that were starting and
just the same thing.
Yeah, and it's like other half is they made a lot of money doing hazy IPA. It's like we're gonna just do that. We're gonna put out new beers like every week, and we're gonna be the next other half, or we're gonna follow this trend or do that. And then our thing is like we finally get to do our own thing. Like we want to do our whatever we want.
Yeah. I mean, you guys clearly did it right. And I think it might be like a product of like you guys have so much experience in the industry. Like you guys, the trends are like. At this point, craft beer like 6 months old, so it's like every 6 months there's something new. But you guys have seen so many of these things. It's just like you guys understand. Like, hey, listen, like the new hot thing is not always going to be here. Like you understand kind of like how to just stay centered on what exactly you want to do, and then just focus on yourself and not worry about like copying somebody else.
Yeah, and I do think that just like kind of like getting behind something, like Brendon was saying earlier, and being like, this is what we do, and like I hope you like it, and if not, that's okay too. But like, this is what we do. We don't want to like have to bend to anybody's like whatever they want us to.
I mean, it's what you guys want to do, but you guys are talented enough to do that. It's not like some home brewers come out and they're just like, I brew what I want to drink, and it's just like but like
if you're making 15 gallons at a time, that's one thing. But if you're making more,
I also think when you've made a lot of beer, you can or you're like, oh man, I'm making all this. I wish I was making that. And, you know, at a certain point you're like, oh, my happiness doesn't need to be solely derived by like doing stuff that's just completely like selfish and like, oh, I only like this, so I don't want to make that. And some people do that, but there's a few beers, like we don't really drink a ton of like, you know, kettle soured tart beer.
You guys make that?
Yeah. We actually just canned one today. But other people like that, and it, you know, helps fill out like a whole draft menu, and you're like, oh, like I can be happy watching someone else enjoy
Sometimes
this.
it's more enjoyable to give other people gifts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But we also haven't like, you know, nothing we've brewed so far has been stuff that we're like, we don't like this, or, you know, I feel like a fraud brewing
What's
it.
the craziest thing? I mean, I brew fraud beers all the time. I have 3 soda sours, but I mean, I like them. And I like.
That's not a fraud then, you know? It's it's something
like
you
what
like.
You're saying, like the clientele at where I'm at is like a little bit different. Than like we're like a larger like center city.
Oh yeah.
We're getting a lot of like, you know, happy hour people coming down, like not like craft beer people. There's kind of people looking to get drunk sometimes.
Yeah.
And, like, they think like some of these like fruity candy beers, like because they're not plugged in the craft industry, it's like totally unique to them because they haven't seen it, you know, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what's like the craziest thing you guys have done so far? Have you guys, I mean, you guys are still so new. It's almost like
probably
soon
scared.
to start.
Yeah, we brewed a double IPA with the Veil.
Okay.
And Matt
was that the
Tarpey
thing?
down there.
That was I saw you guys at Two Robbers, right?
Yeah.
Oh
well,
yeah, and that
At the
was
same time?
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that was the same day. Tarpey came to hang out, and he's like, "You got space to fit a brew in?" And
and it wasn't even that crazy. It was just like things that we didn't normally use. And like Brendon was saying, like when we collaborate with people, we want to like kind of like meet in the middle of like what our approach to double IPA is and what his approach is. And we use like some palm sugar. We used Phantasm, the like Sauvignon Blanc, Great Must, and what Rawaka was in there too, right? Yeah. So it was just like a big double IPA that like I don't normally like gravitate towards that like if I'm out at a bar, but like it was fun to brew it and like see his perspective on it too. So like, and yeah, it's kind of funny to say that like the craziest thing we've ever brewed is like a double IPA that was like,
yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, but like if most of the things that you're brewing are like more like what you're saying, pub styles or lager styles, like it is kind of like, and it's, you know, for some people that are less experienced, like it might not be crazy, but like because you have so much experience, like, you know, it is very much different than what you're doing. So like, you know, the nuances, like using Phantasm and all this other stuff, where like, you know, it's not just a double IPA. It's like a double IPA with like all these extra things in it that make it special.
Yeah.
How do you like? Are you guys close to the people from Vail?
Yeah, well, I think we had both met Matt Tarpey like over the years.
Yeah,
and beer festivals,
17
you know, like,
or 18 at this point.
Yeah.
And then there was like a real festival circuit pre-COVID, and you know, you'd have these friends from like all over, and you'd see them, you know, not that we got to go to every single fest, but you know, you'd see people that you're like, you know, I see you more than some of my other friends who like live in the same city, you know.
Yeah. I mean, the only place I brewed in F-Line was in Frederick, Maryland, and then Philadelphia brewed in Victory. So like the only people I know are in Philadelphia and Frederick, Maryland. But you guys have been in Copenhagen, San Diego, Chicago. You guys have like been in all these different markets. I'm sure you have like your network is probably enormous.
Yeah, and like when I was living in Copenhagen, like McKellar like was part owner of the brewery I was at called War Pigs, and like his whole thing is like collaboration. So like there'd be a festival and all these American brewers were coming. It'd be like try to fit 9 breweries into like a collab schedule in like 1 week. It was wild, but I did get to meet a lot of great people, so it was definitely worth it.
So you know who's the guy that owns Meeting House? Do you know him?
Well, there's several.
McKellar?
Yeah, Keith Shore.
Well, I guess there's also somebody from Tired Hands. Also.
Yeah. Colin is also involved. They have a great crew there. So yeah, I did actually meet Keith. It was funny because I met him out there, and he actually is from just outside of Philadelphia. And then I ended up like moving to Philadelphia. So I'm like, hey, I live here now. Like, what's up? Let's hang out. So it was cool to like get to know him.
How was Denmark? You went out there to brew beer, or was it?
Yeah, I was working at Three Floyds. I was a production brewer there for like 5 years, And when I was 21, they're just like, hey, do you want to move to Copenhagen, Denmark to open a brewery for us? And I
Wait,
was
you
like,
were a production manager and you were 21?
a production brewer. I wasn't a production manager. No, I was just on the floor, like brewing, boots on the ground for like 5 years. And then they were like, hey, do you want to open this small brew pub in Copenhagen, Denmark for us? And I was like, yeah, that sounds really cool. So
wait, is that what Warpigs is? It's 3 Floyds in a Keller?
It was, yeah, but now it's since changed and they've separated from each other and they both own the Warpigs name independently. So there's a Warpigs in Denmark that's owned by McKellar, and there's a Warpigs in the United States that's owned by 3 Floyds. It's an interesting breakup, I guess, you know.
That has to be like the most dramatic brewery family of all time.
Yeah.
I don't know them personally. I actually called him Gene last episode, and say Yepe. But from Evil Twin, but yeah, I don't know. It's exciting. They're characters.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, you know.
Yeah, it's fun. So I want to talk about your names for a second. All your names. I have this theory. There's seltzers started off as like 1 and 2 syllables, and then like they started running out of names, so they started like 3 syllables. Like it was like very like all White Claw, Truly, High Noon, Busy, Neutral, Stateside, Surfside, everything, all the original seltzers were all 2 syllables. And then they started running out of names. It was Happy Dad, Two Robbers, Topo Chico, Loverboy. It was like, it almost became like they extended and there was like more syllables to them. And now like you're seeing craft, like there's 9,000 craft or 10,000 craft breweries, and everybody's putting out new beers every week. So now it's like all like the 1 and 2 words of like an adjective and a noun are all taken up, and like 1 and 2 syllables are gone. And now people are like basically making like full sentences their beer names.
Yeah.
Your guys, it's 1 word, like 1 syllable things. Is that something like that you guys are thinking about doing, or?
Yeah, we like to stick with just 1 word, keep it simple.
I mean, it sticks out. It's like it's clean, it's fresh. Your whole brand is like so like clean and like organized. It's like it kind of pulls it all together.
Yeah, for the names.
Like
we have
any meaning, or is it like
it's funny because like you're making it sound like there is more of a meaning. It's way simpler than that. We just want to we do try to stick to just one word names, and I think that's because there's a lot of 2-word, 3-word names, and then like you can get more into like, oh, this is like my name, but like having 1 word is almost more vague. But our only like I don't even know what to say, how it is. Our only like rules is it just has to be a word that's good to say. It's you want to order it. If it was
are some of them even words? Is moat a word?
Yeah, moat is a
word. Yeah.
Yeah. We started off kind of like trying to tie stuff. I still try to do that, but like some of it's like so not to the beer. It's like to a whole thing.
Yeah.
But like a moat is like it's a small particle of something. So we're like, oh, we want like a small Belgian table beer, and like that's just a cool
Nice.
cool word.
So
like
sometimes
moat.
they have more meaning than they do, but then like for koi for instance, well, actually koi.
They all have
yeah.
And it's like just glad people keep thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sometimes it's just like, oh, that's a cool word. Like, what would that word be?
You ever get that? You're just like, someone says something to you, and you're like, I'm not paying attention to you right now. I just heard whatever word you're saying. I'm trying to remember it.
Yeah.
I usually just wind up texting Kyle and be like, what do you think about this
word?
Yeah.
And then you go, that is cool. And there it is.
Add it to the list.
Nice. So do you guys have like a notes app list on your phone?
I think every brewer does.
Yeah. There's like 300 names long at this point.
Yeah. The best is when you like look at it and you're like, what was I thinking with this one?
Yeah. You wake up the next day and you're like, what?
I was on a tear. My notes app is going off the rails.
Yeah. Which is good. If opening a brewery is like taught me anything, it's that sometimes taking a while to figure things out is a good thing, because then you have time to edit and rethink and reshape and, kind of come up with a better version of, what you wanted.
Like your perfect idea that you just thought of probably isn't so perfect.
Yeah. You a week from now will be like, last week me is an idiot. Like, what do you think of that?
What about, the wines? Are you guys just calling them like kind of what they are? Is that a little bit different?
Yeah, for now.
Are you guys any plans to package the wine?
Yeah, we're hoping that, I don't know, maybe next year, maybe the following year. It's tough because there's one harvest a year. You kind of get one shot to do it, and depending on how much storage space we have, or like what's available, or how the year went.
Is it in barrels or just tanks, or like how does it work? I don't know much about
Just
winemaking,
tanks
but
right now. We might put some stuff in barrels, but we're not making anything I would say that's like, super.
Is natural wine, can you do it in barrels or like?
Yeah, a lot of people do. Some longer age stuff. But we're making like lighter, higher acid, younger, fresher wines.
Have you guys ever tried to do like a beer wine hybrid? I know sometimes people like do like fruit kind of drink beer hybrids. Is that like secret drinks on your menu that like
we haven't,
this wine mixed with this is this?
We haven't done any yet, but it's something that we're definitely like going to work
the
towards.
Natural wine kind of has like some different flavors, almost like some earthier, sour kind of twang.
Yeah,
like, might go with like a saison or something.
Yeah, we haven't done any yet. I did a lot of them at Tired Hands.
I'm sure you guys are like experts at that.
Yeah, a lot of I like kind of launched an entire like clear bottle like series that was all like, whether it was beer wine hybrids, or like we did one that was like honey and blueberry, but it had like the tannic qualities of a wine, that kind of stuff. So
it's cool. So you guys like met each other at Tired Hands, and like Tired Hands is like known for the milkshake IPAs and these super heavy double like crazy hopped IPAs. But you said the craziest thing you've ever brewed here has been a double IPA. Like you guys are focusing on something else. So you guys come from like all this experience, and it's like it's not even like you guys copying them, or like just took their recipes and opened up something with a different brand. It's like truly kind of coming from you guys. It's not from these other people.
Yeah, the idea of doing something like that just seems so boring.
Carbon copy, exactly what you're saying.
It's
also sometimes when you get experience, you don't learn about what you like want to do, but what you don't want to do.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. We just wanted to do like stuff that stuff we liked, and stuff that other people enjoy, and
also you guys are like in West Philly, so you guys are around Penn and all the other colleges.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like again, dumb idea. I feel like the smart people drink West Coast IPAs and like more bitter beers, and like the now kind of like the super hazy milkshake IPAs. Not that like dumb people drink them, but I feel like it's more of like a refined palate drinks like a more bitter, balanced like pub ale. It just
they've like come through the other side.
Yeah. It's like see somebody from Penn like enjoying like a pub ale and like a West Coast like more complex West Coast IPA as opposed to like some just like hazy IPA bomb.
We don't get that many. I feel like we do get some people come from the colleges, but like we're pretty far
back. But, but last year not a ton.
Yeah, but also we're still just. I mean, we're less than a year old. We opened in December of 22, so coming up on a year, and still just kind of like laying that groundwork, like letting people know we exist. Like some people walk by and they're like, "Oh, it's not Dock Street anymore," and then some people walk that by and say, "Oh, it's not the farmers market anymore." That what was there before Dock Street. And that was 17 years ago.
Oh
so,
God.
like, even then, people are just like, oh, I thought it was a farmer's market here. It's like, no, that was 17 years ago. So,
but it's a really diverse group of people out in West Philly, and we're kind of on the border of two neighborhoods. So, like, a lot of times you come in and you'll see, like, a really, really diverse crowd, and a lot of people that have, been exposed to, had a brew pub in their neighborhood for the last 15 years. So, the idea of craft beer isn't
new to them.
Yeah, so they're like, they might have gone on the journey a lot of people do, where you're like, you get into craft beer and then you shoot up to the craziest, hoppiest beers or sweetest beers and kind of come back down.
Yeah, come back down there and think, all right, I can't be drinking like double lactose IPAs.
Yeah, like, I'll have a pub beer, thank you.
But that also being said, like, it is so diverse, and we're talking about like a diverse lineup of beers, but we also try to offer other drinks we make our own wine, but then we also offer like cider and like Pennsylvania made spirits, non-alcoholic drinks, and as well as like for our food, we have pizzas and snacks, both like for omnivores, vegans, everything. So like we try to just be a little bit of something for everyone. So like if you're a beer lover and you come here and you could bring your friend who's like hates beer, they can
It's
still have
other
something
things.
that they like too. You know, like that's kind of the goal of I think every place now is to try to like have the most like wide casting net to everybody to
Definitely.
get as many people.
I mean, I
happy
don't
as
know
possible.
many breweries that are making wine. I know some people like at Philadelphia Brewing they make cider, but I don't know many. I don't know if I can name any. I guess I mean Tired Hands does it right, but I can't name any other ones that make wine.
Yeah, I don't
as
know
well.
if they still do.
In Philadelphia, we're technically the first,
Okay.
according to Michael Klein.
Okay.
But
It's in
but
the
yeah,
newspaper, it's real.
but there are a lot of great urban wineries also in Philadelphia, and we've like met some really great people that way. It's just like we just happen to be doing both at the same time.
How's the wine scene? Is it like is it much different than the beer scene?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
Definitely.
like the craft beer scene when like everyone kind of knows each other? Is the wine like do you guys know the wine people? Is there like wine conferences and kind of like there's not like wine.
There are,
festivals,
and
right?
there's definitely wine festivals, and there's a few that are geared more towards like the style of wine that we're making, and there's a few where like I would like to go to. One called like I think it's called Wild World, and they do like natural wines and ciders and mixed fermentation beer and stuff like that, and there's one called ABV, which is anything but vinifera, and vinifera is like the classic wine grapes that everybody knows, and we use a lot of hybrids because they grow a lot better in the area, and we are looking for stuff that has less, has potential to have less inputs, like more, less sprays and less harsh chemicals used on that, which then goes into the land that they're grown in, and so there's like ABV, so like native grapes and hybrid grapes and stuff like that. So some things we want to get into, but we're pretty busy.
Yeah, I'm sure. So you mentioned that you guys used Phantasm powder before. Phantasm powder is grapes, right? It's not even hops.
It is, yeah. It's like a Sauvignon Blanc grape must that's been turned into powder from New Zealand.
Yeah,
but that was the first time I've ever used it too. Was making this beer.
It's powder.
Yeah, it's powder.
Yeah,
it's almost like the same.
dried.
Yeah, it was a little difficult to get into the tank. I mean, I feel like it's just kind of like
it's different than what you normally do, so you don't have like a process that like makes sense.
I mean, it's
yeah,
just
we
like
just dry hopped with it. Some people use it in the mash or
Gotcha.
in the boil, but it's like super high in thiol, so getting a lot of that.
Is that beer out yet?
Yeah, it's called Skid. We have it on like draft and
Gotcha.
in cans right now.
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything planned for the future? I mean, I know you guys are probably now just getting to the point where you're like have your feet underneath of you, but if you guys, you guys literally just opened. I mean, in brewery life, this is like you guys are still brand new. Do you guys have anything plans to kind of do what you're doing, or just keep kind of track that you're on?
I mean, I think we both are looking forward to like responsible and organic growth.
Yeah.
Like I think in the past, more beer was the only like way to track how much you were growing, and I don't feel like that's the same.
Different industry.
Yeah, it's a different industry. So like, I mean, we are very happy with our spot right now, and like having a nice experience there, and like hopefully we can maybe expand that to other places to have other experiences. But yeah, just trying to keep making the best beer we can, making more wine, being able to package the wine eventually, and kind of like just kind of digging into the stuff we're already doing, just expanding it.
What's your distribution like right now? Like besides the tap room, where can we find you guys? You guys all throughout the city?
We are in a few like bars and restaurants. Like right now, it's like we wear a lot of hats, so we're also out delivering the beer. I would say the most consistent spots.
You guys
are
are delivering the beers?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean.
Went back in time to manage the restaurant.
Yeah. So I'd say the spots that we're at most often. I mean, we're on draft at Fountain Porter pretty regularly. Fiorella, like the Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
And we're
Wilder
44 in West Philly and Wilder in Center City. Like
Yeah.
nice. But yeah, hopefully some more soon. But like, yeah, just because we're also doing all the delivering, we got to like grow slowly and make sure we.
yeah, we're gonna work on getting out a little bit more. There's like some parts of the city that we're not we don't have any presence in, and looking to try to dot the map
Definitely.
a little bit more.
I feel like your brand is like already established. Like you don't need to do anything to your brand. It's like kind of just introducing people to it at this point. It's like it's just like you've already established yourself and just kind of bringing in new customers, and you guys have still so much potential for that.
Yeah, and Philly's so neighborhood centric. People hate leaving their neighborhood. So
it's a weird city.
Yeah,
but it's much different than all the other cities.
Yeah, so you, like you said, kind of get that in front of them and introduce them to the brand, and they're like, oh, well, we can go out there and we can have dinner and we can like make a trip out of it.
Definitely. Yeah. Cool. I guess you guys want to plug anything or any upcoming events, beer releases you guys have?
No, I mean, I guess the only
our anniversary's coming up.
Our 1 year anniversary. We're still working out the details, but
you guys gonna have a little party or something?
We're gonna have a little party. That's what we're trying to do.
Nice.
So December 10th is our official anniversary. So probably like around that weekend or something.
Cool.
We plan on doing something, but I'm just not that we don't have anything planned yet. I'm gonna leave you guessing. It's shrouded in mystery, but everything is definitely planned and intentional.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you can follow along at Carbon Copy Philly on Instagram.
Nice.
Yeah, we also have a Facebook and a website.
Yeah, our Facebook pretty much just
Is
reposts everything from Instagram.
Yeah. Cool. No TikToks or anything?
Nah,
Not yet.
just Kyle's personal dancing
still
TikToks.
Trying to figure out how to reel.
Yeah.
I can't even reel yet. I don't
we
think I'm
gotta
ready for TikTok.
We gotta get the reels.
Definitely. All right, cool. Well, it was great having you guys on.
Yeah,
thanks for having us. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to have you guys on maybe in like a year or so, kind of like see where you guys are at now. I mean, you guys are still, like I said, so new and fresh to this that like kind of I'd like to see like your next steps kind of.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Forwards. So just to wrap up, this is the Brewdad podcast. We'll be on every other week, and you can follow us at the at Brewdad podcast, and then at Brewdad on social media.